The lock clicked at 2:17 in the morning. I'd been waiting in the kitchen nursing cold coffee and pretending to read yesterday's newspaper. Madison thought I was asleep. For 35 years, nobody had entered that basement except me. My son Jake knew the rule since he could walk. But his new bride of 3 months had her bobby pin in my lock, working it like a professional. When our eyes met across the darkened hallway, I saw exactly who she really was. The mask slipped for just a second, but that second told me everything. The gold digger had finally shown her hand. My name is Riley Thompson, and at 68 years old, I thought I'd seen enough of life to spot trouble coming from a mile away. Spent 40 years as a forensic accountant, tracking down hidden assets and uncovering financial lies. But when Jake brought Madison home last year, even I almost missed the warning signs. Jake was 32, brilliant, with computers making good money at a tech firm downtown. He'd inherited his mother Sarah's gentle nature and my stubborn streak. Never had much luck with women too focused on his work. So when he came home from that conference in San Francisco talking non-stop about this amazing woman he'd met, I was happy for him. At first. Madison Clark was beautiful. I'll give her that. 28 years old, blonde hair that caught the light just right. Green eyes that seemed to look right through you. She laughed at all of Jake's jokes, even the terrible ones about coding. She claimed to work as a lifestyle consultant, helping wealthy executives organize their personal affairs. Sounded fancy enough. But something felt off from that first dinner. The way her eyes swept over our house, lingering on the artwork, the furniture, the family photos, like she was calculating values. When she asked about my retirement, her questions were just a little too specific. What kind of accounts did I have? Did Jake stand to inherit the house, all wrapped up in sweet smiles and casual conversation? I did what any suspicious father would do. I ran a background check. The results made my blood run cold. Madison Clark had been Madison Brooks just 4 years ago, married to a 70-year-old restaurant owner in Phoenix. The marriage lasted 18 months. The poor man lost everything in a suspicious bankruptcy just after their divorce. Before that, she was Madison Taylor wife to a 65-year-old real estate developer in Dallas. Same pattern. Quick marriage, financial ruin, vanished wife. I tried talking to Jake. Sat him down in my study, showed him the papers. He got angry, accused me of being paranoid and controlling. Said I couldn't stand to see him happy because I was still mourning his mother. That stung more than I'll ever admit. We didn't speak for 3 weeks after that fight. They got married 2 months later. Small ceremony, her idea. No family from her side, she claimed they were all dead. I smiled through the whole thing, watching her sign her new name with a flourish. Madison Thompson. Like a cat marking territory. The basement situation started small. During their first visit as newlyweds, she noticed the steel door at the end of the hallway. Asked Jake about it over dinner, casual as could be. "Oh, that's Dad's basement," Jake said, passing the mashed potatoes. "Nobody goes down there. House rule since forever." Her fork paused halfway to her mouth. Nobody that seems unusual. I kept my voice level. Sarah's art studio is down there. I've kept it exactly as she left it. Personal space. "How sweet," Madison cooed, but her eyes were calculating again. "You must miss her terribly. 15 years is a long time to grieve." I changed the subject, but she kept circling back. Over the next few months, every visit included little comments. Wouldn't it be nice to use all that space? Think of the rental income from a basement apartment. Storage is so expensive these days, always with that sweet smile, always watching my reaction. What she didn't know was that Sarah's studio was only part of what was down there. The basement held my private office, climate-controlled and secure. Inside that office sat a safe containing documents she could never see. Trust funds, investment portfolios, property deeds. $8 million that Jake didn't even know existed yet. Sarah had inherited the money from her grandmother just before she got sick. Made me promise to keep it secret, until Jake found someone who loved him for himself not his prospects. "You'll know when it's right," she'd said, holding my hand as the cancer stole her strength. "You always could spot a lie, Riley. Trust yourself." The recording started by accident. Jake left his phone on the counter while he helped me with yard work. Madison didn't notice it was still on when she made her call. "He's got more than the house," she said to someone. "I know there's money hidden somewhere. The old fool goes into that basement every night. No, I can't get in yet. Working on it. Jake's starting to see his father's being unreasonable. Give me another month." I saved that recording. Started paying closer attention. Noticed how she'd photograph mail left on the counter, especially anything from banks or investment firms. Saw her install apps on Jake's phone when he was sleeping. Watched her face when she thought nobody was looking cold and calculating under the pretty mask. Then came Thanksgiving. I'd invited Jake's cousins, tried to make it festive. Madison played the perfect wife all through dinner, helping in the kitchen, complimenting everyone's dishes. But after pie, when everyone was watching football, I caught her in the hallway. She had a bobby pin in the basement lock, working it with practiced movements. Not the fumbling of a curious amateur. She knew exactly what she was doing. "Looking for the bathroom?" I asked. The pin disappeared into her sleeve like magic. "Oh, Riley, you startled me. This old lock is fascinating. They don't make them like this anymore." "No," I agreed. "They don't. The bathroom's upstairs, second door on the left." She smiled that perfect smile and glided away. But we both knew the game had changed. She'd shown her hand, and I'd called her bluff. War was coming to the Thompson house. I just had to make sure Jake wouldn't be caught in the crossfire. That night, after everyone left, I went down to the basement. Sat in Sarah's studio looking at her last painting. It was of Jake, older than he was, now standing with a woman whose face was turned away. 2 children played at their feet. Sarah always said she painted the future, sometimes glimpses of what could be. "I'll protect him," I told the painting. "Whatever it takes." The next morning I called Marcus Webb. We'd worked together on a fraud case 20 years ago before he joined the FBI. He was retired now, but still had connections. Still owed me a favor from when I helped clear his brother of embezzlement charges. "I need your help," I said, "and I need to install a new lock." Marcus arrived at my house 3 days after Thanksgiving, carrying a metal briefcase that looked like it belonged in a spy movie. He was still built like a linebacker at 65, gray beard, neat and trimmed. His eyes swept my hallway with professional interest. "Show me the battlefield," he said. I led him to the basement door. He examined the old lock, running his fingers over the scratches Madison's bobby pin had left. Shook his head with disgust. "Amateur work, but skilled amateur. Where'd Princess learn to pick locks?" "That's what I need you to find out," I said, "along with installing something she can't crack." We spent the morning transforming my basement entrance. Marcus installed a biometric scanner hidden behind what looked like decorative wood paneling. The actual lock was electronic, requiring both fingerprint and a 12-digit code. Hidden cameras went up in the hallway corners, tiny things that looked like smoke detector components. "This is Fort Knox level security," Marcus said, programming the system. "Sure, you don't want to just divorce-proof your son's assets instead." "He won't listen. Thinks I'm trying to control his life." Marcus grunted. "Kids never believe their parents about love. Had to learn that myself with my daughter. 3 marriages before she found a good one." While he worked, I told him about Madison's phone call, the background check, her interest in the basement. He took notes in a small pad, occasionally asking for details. When I mentioned her previous names, he perked up. "Madison Brooks. In Phoenix, I remember that case. Howard Brooks owned a chain of steakhouses. Went from millionaire to welfare in 6 months. Always suspected the wife, but she vanished like smoke." "Can you dig deeper?" "Already on it. But Riley, you need to be careful. If she's who I think she is, she's connected. These kinds of operators don't work alone." That afternoon, Jake and Madison came for lunch. I told them I was upgrading security after some break-ins in the neighborhood. Jake barely noticed the changes focused on his phone as usual. But Madison's reaction was immediate. She stood in the hallway staring at the new setup with poorly concealed fury. "This seems excessive for a few break-ins, Riley." "Can't be too careful," I said. "Lots of valuables in this house. Family heirlooms, Sarah's paintings." "In the basement?" Her voice was sharp. "I thought it was just her studio." "Among other things." I kept my tone casual. "I store important documents down there too. Tax records, estate planning, boring stuff." Her smile was tight. "Of course, security is important, though it seems like a lot of expense for old papers." After lunch, while Jake helped me clean up, Madison excused herself to make a phone call. The new cameras caught her in the hallway, examining the lock system, taking photos with her phone. She tried the scanner, pressing random buttons. When nothing worked, she actually kicked the door. That evening, the real performance began. Madison waited until we were all watching TV to start her campaign. "Jake, honey, I'm worried about your father." Jake paused the show. "What do you mean?" "This obsession with the basement. The excessive security. Has he always been this paranoid?" I kept my eyes on the screen, but I could feel her watching me. Jake shifted uncomfortably. "Dad's always been private about Mom's studio. But surveillance cameras, military-grade locks for tax documents." She touched Jake's arm, voice dropping to concern. "My grandmother had dementia. It started just like this. Paranoia, hiding things, irrational fears." "Dad's not losing his mind," Jake said, but doubt crept into his voice. "Of course not," Madison soothed. "I'm sure it's just grief. But maybe we should talk to someone. A counselor who specializes in prolonged mourning. I know someone excellent." Over the next 2 weeks, Madison's campaign escalated. She'd move things in my house, then act concerned when I couldn't find them. Asked me the same questions repeatedly, then gently suggested I'd already told her the answers. Once she even changed all the clocks in the house and insisted I'd missed a doctor's appointment that didn't exist. Jake started watching me differently. Asked if I was sleeping okay, eating properly. Suggested maybe I should consider downsizing to something more manageable. Madison was always there, supportive and sweet, planting seeds of doubt. Marcus called with updates. Madison had hired a private investigator named Derek Walsh, former cop, who'd lost his badge for evidence tampering. He'd been asking questions at my old firm, the Country Club, even my doctor's office. Claimed to be writing a biography about successful accountants. "He's mapping your life," Marcus warned. "Financial habits, health records, daily routines, building a case for something." I knew exactly what Madison was building toward. Power of attorney, control over my assets, a nice quiet facility where I could be managed while she ransacked everything I'd built. So I decided to give her what she wanted, or at least what she thought she wanted. I created a second layer to the basement. Behind Sarah's studio, I set up a decoy office. Filled it with filing cabinets, banker's boxes, and old desk. Then I got creative with documents. Forged bank statements showing massive debts. Fake notices from the IRS about audits and penalties. Medical bills suggesting expensive treatments I'd hidden from Jake. Even created a business ledger showing failed investments and depleted accounts. The crown jewel was a letter aged with coffee stains and left in a drawer she'd be sure to search. My confession about desperate financial moves to cover gambling debts. Mentions of offshore accounts, hidden assets, crimes that would shock Jake. All complete fiction, but convincing enough to someone who wanted to believe the worst. Madison took the bait within days. The cameras caught her studying financial magazines, researching bankruptcy law, making calls to lawyers about hypothetical situations involving mentally compromised relatives. Then she made her biggest mistake. At Sunday dinner with fake tears in her eyes, she suggested they should look into my finances. "I'm just worried Jake could inherit problems," she said, dabbing her eyes. "If Riley's in trouble, we should know. To help, of course." Jake was torn, I could see it. His loyalty to me warring with concern, Madison had manufactured. "Dad's always been good with money," he said weakly. "People change," Madison whispered. "Grief does terrible things. What if he's been hiding problems? What if there are debts we don't know about?" I decided to make it easier for them. Announced I had to visit Seattle settling an old client's estate. 3 days, maybe 4. Left them a key to the house, in case of emergencies. Madison's eyes lit up like Christmas morning. Marcus picked me up 2 hours after my supposed flight. We set up in his spare room laptops connected to my home security system. Surveillance equipment turned his dining table into a command center. "You sure about this?" he asked. "She needs to commit completely," I said. "No half measures. When we expose her, I want it airtight." We ordered pizza and settled in to wait. Madison would make her move. I knew it like I knew the sun would rise. The only question was how far she'd go. The answer came at 1:43 in the morning. My phone rang. Jake, panic in his voice. Dad, thank God. Where are you exactly? I need you to come home. Now." "What's wrong?" I kept my voice steady. God, I don't know how to say this. Madison found something in the basement. Dad, what have you done?" I looked at Marcus. He nodded, already pulling up the recordings. "Stay calm, son. I'll explain everything. Just keep Madison there. Can you do that?" "Dad, she's talking about calling the police, the FBI. She says you're a criminal." "Perfect, absolutely perfect." "Tell her to wait," I said. "I'm coming home. We'll sort this out together." I hung up and turned to Marcus. "Ready for the show?" He grinned, pulling up files on his computer. "Been ready since Phoenix. Let's catch ourselves a gold digger." The story I'd told Jake about Seattle wasn't entirely fabricated. There really was a client, Harold Morrison, who'd passed away 6 months ago. His estate was already settled, but Madison wouldn't know that. I'd made sure to leave the letterhead from his law firm visible on my desk along with flight confirmations I'd printed but never used. Marcus drove me to his house in his old pickup truck, taking back roads in case Madison had someone watching. His place was a modest ranch, 20 minutes from mine, the kind of home that didn't attract attention. Perfect for surveillance operations. We spent the first day fine-tuning our setup. Marcus had connections I'd never asked about guys who specialized in this kind of work. They helped us establish secure connections to my home cameras, set up recording equipment, even created backup systems, in case Madison tried to jam signals. "Your girl's been busy," Marcus said, showing me his research. Derek Walsh, Madison's private investigator, was dirty as they came. Lost his badge 5 years ago for planting evidence in a divorce case. Since then, he'd worked for women like Madison, gathering dirt for blackmail and extortion. "He's been spreading money around," Marcus continued. "Paid your mailman $200 for photos of your mail. Bribed a teller at your bank for transaction histories. Even got to a clerk at the county courthouse pulling property records." "What did they find?" "What you wanted them to find. The fake accounts you set up the shell companies with 0 assets. Just enough truth mixed with lies to make it believable." I'd spent years perfecting the art of financial deception, but always on the right side of the law. Creating a false paper trail was child's play. The key was making it discoverable in the right order, leading Madison down a path that ended exactly where I wanted. On my second day, gone, things accelerated. Madison convinced Jake they needed to check on the house. The cameras showed them arriving at 10 in the morning. Jake looked uncomfortable, checking his phone constantly. Madison was dressed for business in dark clothes, hair pulled back, carrying a large shoulder bag. "I just want to water your father's plants," she told Jake. "Make sure everything's secure." They wandered through the house, Madison's eyes searching every surface. In my study, she accidentally knocked over a cup of pens, spilling them across documents I'd strategically left out. While picking them up, she photographed every page. "We should go," Jake said from the doorway. "This feels wrong." "Your father asked us to check on things," Madison replied sweetly. "I'm just being thorough. You know how forgetful he's been lately." The basement door drew her like a magnet. She stood before it, fingers tracing the biometric scanner. "Have you really never been down there?" she asked Jake. "Not since Mom died. Dad made it clear it was off limits." "That's not normal, honey. Secrets between family members. It worries me." Jake's jaw tightened. It's his way of grieving. For 15 years, Madison's voice was gentle poison. "What if he's not grieving? What if he's hiding something that could hurt you?" She worked on him all afternoon. By evening, Jake was wavering. The seeds of doubt she'd planted were flowering. When she suggested trying to access the basement, just to make sure everything's okay, he didn't protest as strongly. That's when Madison revealed her true skills. From her bag, she produced a small device that looked like a phone. She connected it to the biometric scanner running some kind of program. "What is that?" Jake asked. "Just something to check if the system's working properly." She lied smoothly. "My friend in home security showed me. See, it's not responding. The lock might be malfunctioning." While the device worked, she pulled out professional lock picks. Not the bobby pin from Thanksgiving, but real tools. She worked with practiced efficiency while Jake paced nervously. "Where did you learn to do that?" "YouTube," she said without missing a beat. "You can learn anything online these days." It took her 12 minutes to bypass my decoy lock, the one I'd installed just for her to crack. The real security system remained hidden, recording everything. When the door finally opened, she couldn't hide her triumph. "There," she said. "Now we can make sure your father's okay." The basement stairs creaked as they descended. I'd left lights on in Sarah's studio, her paintings visible through the doorway. Jake paused there, drawn by memories. But Madison pulled him forward. "Later," she said. "Let's check his office first." The decoy office was perfect. Cluttered, but not suspiciously so. Filing cabinets, slightly ajar papers scattered on the desk as if I'd left in a hurry. Madison went straight for the desk drawers, while Jake stood uncertainly by the door. She found the first batch of fake documents within minutes. Bank statements showing withdrawals of hundreds of thousands, loans taken against the house, credit card bills for gambling websites. Her excitement was palpable. "Jake," she breathed, "look at this." He came closer, face paling as he read. "This can't be right. Dad doesn't gamble." "People hide addictions," Madison said, "especially proud men like your father." She moved to the filing cabinets, finding more evidence of financial disaster. Forged letters from creditors, fake legal notices, a portfolio showing massive losses in risky investments. Each discovery hit Jake harder. But Madison wasn't satisfied. She kept searching, knowing there had to be more. That's when she found the hidden panel I'd installed just for her. Behind it, a small safe with a simple combination lock. The kind an overconfident man might use for his darkest secrets. It took her 3 tries to crack it. Inside, she found the confession letter. Her hands actually shook as she read it aloud. "My son, if you're reading this, I've failed you. The money is gone, all of it. Your mother's inheritance squandered on foolish schemes and desperate attempts to recover losses. I've borrowed from dangerous people, made promises I can't keep. The house is mortgaged beyond value. There are offshore accounts, but accessing them would mean admitting to crimes that would destroy our family name. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Jake sank into the desk chair, head in his hands. Madison kept reading, finding references to embezzlement, tax evasion, fraudulent accounting dating back decades. The letter painted me as a desperate man who'd built a house of cards now collapsing. "We have to call someone," Jake said, voice broken. "The police, a lawyer, someone." "Wait," Madison said, mind racing. "Let me think. This mentions offshore accounts. If we're smart about this..." That's when she found the second safe hidden under loose floorboards. This one contained account numbers for banks in Switzerland and the Cayman Islands. Fake, of course, but she wouldn't know that yet. The amounts listed were staggering. 12 million. 15 million. More. Madison's whole demeanor changed. The concerned wife vanished, replaced by a predator who'd scented blood. She started taking photos of everything, muttering about protecting assets and minimizing damage. "We need to move fast," she told Jake, "before creditors find out, before the FBI starts investigating. I know people who can help us access those accounts quietly." "That would be stealing," Jake protested weakly. "It's family money," Madison countered. "Your inheritance. Your father would want you to have it, not let it go to the government or criminal associates." She kept pushing painting pictures of their future with millions in hidden funds. How they could disappear, start fresh, live the life they deserved. Jake looked torn between loyalty and the shocking revelations about his father. That's when Madison made her critical error. In her excitement, she let the mask slip completely. "I knew that old bastard was hiding something," she said, triumph in her voice. "All that sanctimonious grief about your mother, and he was a criminal the whole time. Well, he won't get away with it. We'll take every penny before he knows what hit him." Jake's head snapped up. For just a moment, he saw her clearly. The calculation in her eyes, the greed, the complete lack of concern for his pain. But Madison was too focused on the documents to notice his expression. My phone rang at 11 that night. Jake's voice was different now. Careful, controlled. "Dad, I need you to come home. There's been a situation." "What kind of situation?" I asked, playing my role. "Madison found something in the basement. Documents. Dad, she's talking about calling the authorities. Says you're in serious trouble." In the background, I could hear Madison coaching him. "Tell him to come alone. Tell him we want to help." "She says she wants to help," Jake repeated flatly. "Can you come home alone?" "I'll catch the first flight," I said. "Jake, whatever you found, there's an explanation." "I hope so," he said. "I really hope so." After hanging up, I looked at Marcus. He was grinning like a wolf. "Kid did good," he said. "You hear how his voice changed. He's playing along. You think he's figured it out? Maybe not all of it, but he knows something's off with Princess. Question is, how far will he let her run?" We pulled up the current camera feeds. Madison was in my kitchen on her phone. The audio was crystal clear. "Derek, it's me. We hit the mother lode. The old fool's been hiding millions offshore. Criminal money. Know the son's on board. Devastated by Daddy's betrayal. We move tomorrow night when he gets back. Have the papers ready. Power of attorney, asset transfer, everything. This is it. The big score." She hung up and returned to Jake, switching instantly back to concerned wife mode. Put her arms around him, whispered comfort, while her eyes gleamed with avarice. "Time to go home?" Marcus asked. "Not yet," I said. "Let her think she's won completely. Tomorrow night we end this properly." I spent the rest of the evening preparing. Called in favors, arranged witnesses, set the final pieces in motion. Madison thought she was playing chess while I was playing checkers. She was about to learn I'd been playing a different game entirely. The trap was set. Now to spring it. Madison couldn't leave well enough alone. After finding the confession letter and account numbers, most con artists would have been satisfied. But she had to dig deeper, had to find every last secret. That greed would be her downfall. The cameras showed her returning to the basement at 3 a.m, while Jake pretended to sleep upstairs. She'd changed into black athletic wear hair in a tight ponytail, moving like someone who'd done this many times before. She carried a small flashlight and wore latex gloves. This time she searched methodically, checked every wall for hidden panels, tested floorboards, even examined the ceiling. Her training showed in every movement. This wasn't some amateur gold digger. Madison had professional skills. She found the second hidden room 40 minutes into her search. I'd made it just difficult enough to be believable. A section of paneling that moved when pressed in the right sequence. Behind it, a narrow door with an old-fashioned key lock. The key was hidden in Sarah's studio, tucked behind a painting of Jake as a baby. Madison found it within 10 minutes. The second room was my masterpiece of deception. Set up like a criminal's archive. Boxes of fabricated evidence stretching back 20 years. Ledgers showing embezzled funds. client files with forged signatures, photos of me with people who looked distinctly unsavory, actually Marcus's poker buddies dressed for their parts. The centerpiece was a laptop password, protected but not too well. Madison cracked it using software from her phone. On it, she found correspondence about money laundering, references to a network of corrupt accountants, threats from angry clients who discovered my supposed schemes. One email thread was particularly damning. A conversation with someone called only the banker, discussing moving $30 million through shell companies. References to eliminating problems, mentions of judges and politicians on the payroll, all completely fabricated, but layered with enough real details to seem authentic. Madison's breathing quickened as she read. This was beyond her wildest dreams. Not just a few million in offshore accounts, but an entire criminal empire. She started copying files to a thumb drive documenting everything. That's when she found the insurance policy. A real one, actually, but altered to show a value of $10 million with Jake as beneficiary. The kicker was a clause stating it paid out even in cases of suicide or criminal conviction. Madison stared at it for a long time, and I could see the calculations in her mind. She was so absorbed that she didn't hear Jake come down the stairs. He stood in the doorway, watching her work. His face was unreadable in the camera's night vision. "Find what you're looking for?" he asked quietly. Madison spun around, pulling off the gloves. "Jake, I couldn't sleep. I was worried about you, about what we found. I just wanted to understand. By breaking into Dad's private files at 3 a.m, she shifted tactics, tears forming instantly. "I'm scared, Jake. Your father's involved with dangerous people. What if they come after us? I needed to know what we're dealing with." Jake entered the room, looking at the spread of documents. Picked up the insurance policy. $10 million. That's a lot of money. "We need to protect ourselves," Madison said urgently. "Get power of attorney before he comes back. Move assets. Maybe even have him evaluated psychiatrically, for his own good. Or we could wait 30 years for him to die naturally," Jake said, still studying the policy. "Unless something happened sooner." Madison went very still. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm not suggesting anything. Just observing that you seem very interested in my father's money." Her mask cracked slightly. "Our money, Jake. We're married. What's yours is mine." "And what's his is his," Jake countered, "unless he's declared incompetent or dead." They stared at each other across the desk. The pretense was wearing thin on both sides. Madison made a decision, dropping the sweet wife act partially. "Your father's a criminal, Jake. He's hidden millions that belong to you, to us. We can take what's rightfully ours, or we can watch it disappear into government seizures and victim compensation. Which do you prefer?" Jake was quiet for a moment. Then, "Show me everything you found." For the next hour, Madison walked him through her discoveries. The offshore accounts, the criminal network, the insurance policy. Jake asked pointed questions, forcing her to reveal how much she'd already researched, how much she'd planned. Finally, he said, "We need help, professional help." Madison brightened. "I know someone, Derek Walsh. He used to be a cop, understands these situations." "Call him," Jake said. "Set up a meeting for tomorrow afternoon, before Dad gets back." Madison kissed him triumphant. "You won't regret this, baby. We're going to be set for life." After she went upstairs, Jake remained in the room. He picked up the phone I'd left there for emergencies, an old landline that Madison hadn't noticed. Dialed my number. "Dad," he said when I answered. "We need to talk, alone." I could hear the strain in his voice. My son was walking a tightrope, and one wrong step could destroy everything. "Are you safe?" I asked. "For now. But Dad, the things she found, is any of it real? What do you think?" A long pause. "I think my father taught me to spot lies. And I think my wife has been lying since the day we met." "Then why call me?" "Because she's dangerous, and she's not working alone. There's someone else, Derek Walsh. They're planning something." "Let them plan," I said carefully. Sometimes the best way to catch a predator is to let them think they're the hunter. Dad, the insurance policy. She kept looking at it. I think she might be planning something permanent. My blood chilled despite expecting this. It's one thing to anticipate evil, another to have it confirmed. Then we move up our timeline, I said. Can you keep playing along until tomorrow night? I married her, Jake said bitterly. I've been playing along for months. I'm sorry, son. I tried to warn you. I know, I should have listened. But Dad, how did you know? How did you see what I missed? I thought of Sarah, how she'd taught me to look past surfaces to the truth beneath. Your mother gave me practice recognizing real love. Once you've had that, anything fake becomes obvious. Jake was quiet, processing. Then, what do you need me to do? Exactly what Madison expects. Be the grieving son shocked by his father's crimes. Let her believe she's in control. When I get back tomorrow, we'll end this. Dad, be careful. I don't know what she's capable of. I looked at Marcus, who was already on another phone arranging backup. Neither does she, son. Neither does she. After Jake hung up, I reviewed everything we'd recorded. Madison's illegal entry, her theft of documents, conspiracy to defraud, attempted blackmail. More than enough for criminal charges. But I wanted more than legal justice. I wanted complete destruction of her entire network. Marcus finished his calls. My contacts found something interesting. Madison's not just working with Walsh. There's a whole crew. 3 other women running similar cons across the country. They share intelligence resources, even targets. Can we get them all? Already working on it. FBI's had them on radar but couldn't get evidence. Your recordings might be the break they need. I spent the rest of the night preparing for tomorrow's confrontation. Madison thought she'd won the lottery. She was about to learn the price of that ticket. The phone rang again at dawn. Madison, this time using Jake's phone. Riley, it's Madison. Jake's had a breakdown. He needs you home immediately. What kind of breakdown? I kept my voice worried. He found some disturbing things in your basement. Documents. He's talking about suicide, saying he can't live with the shame. Please, you need to come home now. The lies flowed like honey. In the background, I could hear Jake playing his part, moaning about family honor and unbearable truth. I'm at the airport, I lied. I'll catch the first flight. Riley. Her voice dropped, becoming harder. Bring any documentation about those offshore accounts. Jake's going to need access to funds for therapy, extensive therapy. There it was, the threat wrapped in concern. Give us the money or your son might have an accident. I understand, I said. I'll bring everything. Good. We'll be waiting. Just family, no one else. Jake's too fragile for crowds. She hung up. Marcus whistled low. She's escalating fast. Desperate people make mistakes, I said, and Madison's about to make her biggest one. We loaded the van with equipment and evidence. Time to go home and end this charade. Madison wanted a payday. She was about to get exactly what she deserved. The house looked peaceful in the afternoon sun as Marcus dropped me off 2 blocks away. I walked slowly carrying a briefcase filled with props for the final act. Every window had curtains drawn. Madison was being careful. I used my key, calling out as I entered. Jake Madison, I'm home. They were in the living room, perfectly staged. Jake on the couch, head in his hands, the picture of devastation. Madison beside him, rubbing his back, tissues scattered on the coffee table. She'd even applied makeup to give Jake a haggard appearance. Oh, Riley, she said, standing with practiced concern. Thank God you're here. He's been like this since finding those terrible documents. I set down my briefcase, noting how her eyes tracked it. Son, look at me. Jake raised his head, and I saw the truth in his eyes. He was playing along, but the pain was real. Not from my fictional crimes, but from realizing his marriage was a sham. How could you? He asked, voice raw. Mom trusted you. I trusted you. Madison squeezed his shoulder. Don't torture yourself, honey. Your father's sickness isn't your fault. Sickness? I asked, sitting across from them. The gambling, the embezzlement, The criminal connections, she listed smoothly. Classic symptoms of a personality disorder. Riley, you need help. Professional help. I see. And you're qualified to make that diagnosis. Her smile was sharp. I've done research. For Jake's sake. We need to protect him from your activities. We've called a lawyer? Jake added woodenly. Mr. Walsh, he'll be here soon. Derek Walsh, the disgraced cop. I kept my voice mild. Interesting choice. Madison's eyes flashed. He understands complex situations, like yours. I leaned back, studying them. Before Mr. Walsh arrives, perhaps we should have an honest conversation. All cards on the table. I think that's wise, Madison agreed quickly. Starting with those offshore accounts. Jake deserves to know everything. Everything, I repeated. Yes, I suppose he does. Should we start with your first marriage, Madison? Or was it Michelle then? The room temperature seemed to drop. Madison went rigid but recovered quickly. I don't know what you mean. Michelle Garrett. Married Robert Thornton in 2018. Cleaned out $400,000 and his mother's jewelry before disappearing. Would you like to see the police report? Jake pulled away from her slightly. Madison, he's lying, she said, but uncertainty crept into her voice. Trying to deflect from his own crimes, I opened my briefcase, pulling out a folder. Then let's call Robert. I have his number. He's been looking for you, Michelle. Never did file those divorce papers, did he? I dialed on speakerphone. After 2 rings, a man answered. Thornton here. Mr. Thornton, this is Riley Thompson. I have someone here who'd like to speak with you. Madison lunged for the phone, but Jake caught her arm. On speaker, Robert's voice shook with emotion. Michelle, is that you? God, I've searched everywhere. The money doesn't matter, but Mom's ring. She wore it for 50 years. Madison twisted free. This is entrapment, harassment. I'll sue you for everything. With which identity? I asked calmly. Madison Clark, Madison Brooks, Madison Taylor? Or should we go back further? Your prints are in the system, Michelle. Fraud charges in 3 states. The doorbell rang. Madison brightened, thinking her cavalry had arrived. But when Jake opened the door, it wasn't Derek Walsh. Marcus walked in with 2 other men. One carried a laptop, the other recording equipment. They set up efficiently, ignoring Madison's sputtering protests. Gentlemen, I said. Thank you for coming. Jake, these are friends from my consulting days. They specialize in forensic investigation. What is this? Madison demanded. The beginning of honesty, I replied. Marcus, would you share what you found? Marcus connected his laptop to my TV, pulling up documents. Michelle Garrett, also known as Madison Clark Brooks and Taylor, part of an organization specializing in marriage fraud. 4 confirmed victims, possibly more. Photos appeared on screen. Madison with different hair colors, different names always attached to older, wealthy men. Financial records showing patterns of systematic theft. Your associate, Derek Walsh, Marcus continued, has been under federal investigation for 2 years. Wire fraud, extortion, blackmail. Your phone calls to him have been very illuminating. Madison's confident mask cracked completely. You can't record private conversations. I'll have everything thrown out. Actually, Jake said quietly, I gave permission. This is my house too. Remember what's mine is yours, as you kept reminding me. She turned on him, vicious now. You pathetic little worm. You think you're smart, your father's still a criminal? Those documents are real. I'll destroy both of you. Which documents? I asked. The forged bank statements I created. The fictional confession letter. The non-existent offshore accounts. I pulled out the real papers from my briefcase. These are my actual financial records, clean as a whistle. 40 years of honest accounting. The basement files you found props, bait. And you swallowed every bite. Madison's face cycled through emotions. Rage, disbelief, calculating her options. Prove it. Prove those were fake. Gladly. I turned to the laptop. This is security footage from my basement. There's you breaking and entering, using professional lockpicks, photographing private documents, all felonies, by the way. The video played on the TV. Madison watching herself commit multiple crimes, Jake playing his part perfectly. Her late-night return to the latex gloves searching for more evidence to steal. The really damning part, Marcus added, is this recording from tonight. Madison's voice filled the room from earlier. The old fool's been hiding millions offshore. Criminal money. Know the son's on board. Devastated by daddy's betrayal. We move tomorrow night when he gets back. Have the papers ready. Power of attorney asset transfer everything. This is it. The big score. That's not me, Madison said desperately. That's AI. Deep fake. Is this fake too? Jake pulled out his phone, playing his own recording. Madison in the basement mask, fully off, talking about taking every penny before the old bastard knew what hit him. She made one last attempt. Jake, baby, they're manipulating you. We love each other. Remember our wedding? Our dreams. Our wedding where no family showed up for you. Jake's voice was steel. Our dreams that always involved spending money we didn't have yet. I remember everything, Madison, including finding your burner phone, the one with texts planning to have my father declared incompetent, to drug him if necessary. That was news to me. I looked at my son with new respect. He'd been playing a longer game than I'd realized. Madison bolted for the door, found it blocked by 2 FBI agents Marcus had called. They wore the patient expression of professionals who'd waited a long time for this moment. Michelle Garrett. The lead agent said, "You're under arrest for wire fraud conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted extortion, and breaking and entering. You have the right to remain silent." As they cuffed her, Madison's eyes found mine. Pure hatred burned there. "You destroyed everything," she snarled. "No," I corrected. "You destroyed yourself. I just documented it." They led her out as Derek Walsh's car pulled up. He took one look at the FBI van and threw his car in reverse. Didn't get far. More agents were waiting. The whole network was unraveling. Jake sank onto the couch, real exhaustion replacing the act. I sat beside him, putting my hand on his shoulder. "How long have you known?" I asked. 2 months. Found the burner phone by accident. Saw the texts about me being the mark. The plans to get to your money through me. His voice cracked. I wanted to confront her. But then I realized you were setting something up. The fake documents were too obvious once I really looked. "Why didn't you come to me?" He met my eyes. "Because I needed to know I could handle it. Needed to prove I wasn't just the naive son who fell for a con. I had to be part of taking her down." I pulled him into a hug. "First time in years. Your mother would be proud. You saw through the deception and chose truth over comfortable lies." Marcus started packing up equipment. "We'll need you both for statements. Madison's looking at 8 to 10 years federal time. More if they connect her to the other victims." After everyone left, Jake and I sat in the quiet house. The basement door stood open, no longer hiding secrets. "Want to see your mother's studio?" I asked. "The real one." We went down together. I showed him Sarah's paintings, her last works full of light and hope, despite her illness. The portrait of him with the faceless woman and children drew his attention. "She painted this before she died. Said it was your future, when you found real love." Jake studied it for a long time. "Think I'll ever trust anyone again? You trusted me enough to play along with a dangerous game. That's a start." I pointed to the painting. "Your mother believed you'd find happiness. She was usually right about important things." "What about the money the trust fund Madison was after?" "Still there, waiting for the right moment. When you find someone who loves you without knowing it exists." We turned off the lights and headed upstairs. The basement would keep its real secret a while longer. Jake had healing to do first. But tonight we'd protected our family, exposed a predator, chose truth over deception. Sarah would have been proud of us both. The lock on the basement door would come off tomorrow. Some secrets were meant to be shared when the time was right. And that time was finally approaching. The FBI interviews took most of the next day. Jake and I sat in separate rooms at the federal building, walking through every detail of Madison's scheme. The agents were thorough, especially interested in the network of women Madison worked with. "Your son did exceptional work," Agent Rivera told me during a break. The recordings from his phone gave us threads we've been trying to grasp for years. These women have destroyed dozens of families. Jake emerged from his interview looking drained but resolved. We grabbed coffee at a shop near the federal building, sitting outside in the weak winter sun. "The agent said Madison's real name isn't even Michelle," Jake said. "It's Margaret Hoffman. She's got warrants in 6 states. "How deep did you dig when you found out?" I asked. "Deep enough." Jake stared into his coffee. "Found 3 other phones. She was running games on 2 other men while married to me. One in Boston, one in Miami. Telling them she was a traveling nurse, needed time away for work." "I'm sorry, son." "Don't be. You tried to warn me. I was just too proud to listen." He paused. "Or maybe too desperate. After Mom died, then years of failed relationships. Madison seemed like proof I could be loved." Con artists are expert at finding what we need most and pretending to provide it. Jake's phone buzzed. He checked it and laughed bitterly. "Her lawyer wants to discuss a plea deal if we drop charges." "Your choice," I said. "I've got what I needed." "Which was?" "You safe. Everything else was just tactics." We drove home in comfortable silence. The house felt different now, lighter somehow. The weight of secrets had lifted, leaving space for something new. That evening, Marcus called with updates. "Bureau picked up the whole crew. 4 women, 2 men operating in 12 states. Madison was apparently middle management. The real boss is a woman named Victoria Chen, ran the whole thing from Vegas." "Chen?" I asked. Madison specifically didn't want me using that name for any character in my security tests. Marcus chuckled. "Probably trauma from her boss. Victoria's looking at 20 to life. Your evidence broke the whole thing open." After dinner, Jake helped me go through the basement properly. Not the decoy office, which we'd already stripped of its fake documents, but the real spaces. Sarah's studio, of course, but also the workshop where I'd built furniture, the wine cellar I'd started, but never finished rooms full of potential. "We should clean this out," Jake said. "Make it useful again." "After we deal with one more thing," I said. I led him to Sarah's studio, to a painting of the ocean she'd done during our honeymoon. Behind it was a safe I hadn't opened in 5 years. Inside were documents Madison would have killed to find. "Your mother's inheritance," I explained. "Her grandmother left her $8 million just before she got sick. She made me promise to keep it secret until you found real love." Jake stared at the trust documents. $8 million, and you never said anything. Your mother was specific. She'd seen how money changed her own family, turned siblings into enemies. She wanted you to find someone who loved you for you. Instead, I found someone who loved me for money I didn't even know I had. Jake shook his head. "The irony is perfect. The money's been invested conservatively. It's worth about $12 million now. When you're ready, when you've healed from this, it's yours." "I don't want it," Jake said immediately. "Not now, maybe not ever." "Your mother thought you might say that. There's a letter." I handed him the envelope, Sarah's handwriting still clear after all these years. Jake read it silently, tears rolling down his cheeks. When he finished, he folded it carefully. "She says the money isn't the inheritance," he whispered. "The real inheritance is knowing how to spot genuine love, and that you'd teach me." I tried, failed pretty spectacularly. "Did you?" Jake looked around the studio. "You set up an elaborate trap to expose a con artist, risked her wrath, could have gone wrong a dozen ways, all to protect me. If that's not love, what is?" We were interrupted by my phone. Unknown number, but I recognized the voice immediately. "Mr. Thompson, this is Derek Walsh. I think we should talk." The FBI already has everything they need, I said. Not about that, about Jake. There are things he should know, about his wife, his real wife. Jake grabbed the phone. What are you talking about? Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th Street. 1 hour. Come alone, or you'll never know the truth about Emily Chen. The line went dead. Jake looked at me, confused. Emily Chen. Who's Emily Chen? I thought back through everything, pieces clicking together. Madison's insistence on not using certain names. The FBI's mention of Victoria Chen running the operation. Walsh trying to make a deal. I said slowly. We're about to find out Madison was playing an even deeper game than we knew. An hour later, we sat across from Derek Walsh in the nearly empty coffee shop. He looked rough, unshaven, clothes wrinkled. Federal custody hadn't been kind to him. They're offering me a deal, he said without preamble. Testify against the others, get 5 years instead of 15. But there's something they don't know. Something about your wife, Jake. She's not my wife, Jake said coldly. Never was, apparently. No, not Madison. Your real wife, the one she was supposed to be. Walsh pulled out a phone, showing us a photo. A young woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She looked nothing like Madison. Emily Chen, Walsh said. Victoria's daughter. The mark Madison was supposed to be playing. I don't understand, Jake said. The con was different this time. Victoria wanted her daughter married into a wealthy family. Clean marriage, no fraud, just positioning for later. Emily's shy, bookish works at a library. Victoria figured someone like you, grief-stricken over your mother, would connect with her. But Madison took the job instead. Walsh nodded. Went rogue. Decided to run her own game, cut Victoria out. Emily never even knew about the plan. She's innocent in all this. Why tell us? I asked. Because Victoria's furious about Madison's betrayal. She'll throw everyone under the bus except her daughter. Emily's going to get dragged into this mess. Thought maybe you could help her. Anonymous tip to her lawyer or something. Jake stared at the photo. Where is she now? Portland Central Library, reference desk. Been there 5 years. Masters in Literature volunteers teaching kids to read. Complete opposite of her mother. Walsh stood. That's all I know. Do what you want with it. After he left, Jake and I sat in silence. Finally, I asked, what are you thinking? That somewhere out there is a woman who was supposed to meet me but didn't, who has no idea her mother's a criminal, who's about to have her life destroyed by association. He pocketed his phone. I can't let that happen. You want to warn her? I want to meet her, see who Madison was pretending to be, maybe understand why the con worked so well on me. It was a terrible idea. It was also exactly what Sarah would have done, rushing to help a stranger in trouble. I saw so much of her in Jake at that moment. I'll go with you, I said. Dad, I need to do this alone. I need to know I can trust my own judgment again. I understood. Be careful. She might not be as innocent as Walsh claims. I know, but I have to find out. 3 days later, Jake called from Portland. His voice was different, lighter. Dad, I met her, Emily. She's exactly who Walsh said. Quiet kind, had no idea about any of this. I warned her about what's coming, helped her find a lawyer. And she invited me for coffee, to thank me. We talked for 3 hours about books, about loss. Her father died when she was young. She understands grief. He paused. I'm staying a few more days. Jake, I know what you're thinking. But Dad, she tried to pay for her own coffee. Insisted on it. Said she doesn't like owing people anything. When was the last time someone wanted to pay their own way around me? I thought of Sarah, how she'd insisted on keeping her grandmother's money separate until we'd been married 5 years. How she'd worked part-time even when we didn't need the money just to maintain her independence. Take your time, I said. Trust but verify. Already am. Marcus is running a complete background check. So far she's clean. Estranged from her mother for 10 years. Didn't even know Victoria's real business. Over the following weeks, Jake split time between home and Portland. He helped Emily navigate the legal complexities of her mother's arrest. She helped him process his failed marriage. Slowly, carefully, they built something real. I met Emily 2 months later. She was nothing like Madison's flash and dazzle. Quiet intelligence, dry humor, a way of seeing through surface to substance. When Jake introduced me, she shook my hand firmly. "Mr. Thompson, Jake's told me about you. Thank you for protecting him." "Thank you for helping him heal," I replied. She smiled, and I saw what Jake saw. Not Madison's practiced charm, but genuine warmth. Later, while Jake cooked dinner, Emily found me in Sarah's studio. "Jake says his mother was an artist. A good one. She saw beauty everywhere." Emily studied the paintings. "She saw truth, I think. Beauty and truth aren't always the same thing." "No," I agreed. "They're not." She turned to the portrait of Jake's future family. "Is this something she painted before she died? Jake with a family she never got to meet?" Emily looked closer. The woman's face was turned away, but her posture, the way she held the painted child, the books scattered at her feet. "Life's strange," she said softly. "Yes, it is." We never spoke of it again, but we both knew what Sarah had seen. Sometimes truth is patient, waiting for the lies to clear before revealing itself. Madison pled guilty to multiple charges, got 12 years federal time. Her network crumbled, victims got some restitution. Derek Walsh testified, got his 5 years. Victoria Chen went down for 20. And Jake learned to trust again. Not blindly, but with wisdom earned through pain. The basement door came off its hinges. Sarah's studio became Emily's reading room when she moved in 6 months later. The secret room became a playroom when their daughter arrived 2 years after that. They named her Sarah Hope Thompson. She has her grandmother's eyes and her mother's quiet way of seeing past surfaces to the heart of things. The trust fund will be hers one day, but for now, it funds literacy programs at Emily's library. Some stories end with justice. This one ends with something better. Truth, patience, and the kind of love that sees clearly and chooses anyway. Madison tried to steal our future. Instead, she cleared the path for the real thing. The wedding was small, nothing like Jake's first elaborate affair with Madison. Emily wanted it in the library where she worked after hours, surrounded by books and the people who actually knew them. No flashy decorations or society photographers, just truth and promise. I stood as Jake's best man, watching my son marry a woman who'd insisted on a prenup to protect him from her. "I've seen what my mother's greed does," Emily had said. "I won't have you wondering if I'm here for the right reasons." The inheritance from Sarah stayed in trust. Emily didn't even know the full amount. "Tell me when we're old," she'd laughed. "When it's too late to change who we are together." 6 months after the wedding, I got a letter from federal prison. Madison's handwriting still elegant, even on cheap paper. "Riley, I underestimated you. That was my mistake. But you underestimate me too. This isn't over. I have 12 years to plan and patience you can't imagine. Watch your back. Watch your sons. Some games have extra innings." M. I showed it to the FBI. They added it to her file evidence of continued criminal mindset. But I kept a copy, a reminder that wolves don't become sheep just because they're caged. Jake and Emily settled into quiet happiness. She kept her library job. He started consulting from home. They converted the basement properly Emily's reading room, where Sarah's studio had been Jake's office, where I'd set my traps. The fake documents became a family joke framed in the hallway as Dad's Fiction Collection. Their daughter arrived on a spring morning 2 years after the wedding. Sarah Hope pink and perfect with her grandmother's eyes. I held her in the hospital, remembering holding Jake the same way 34 years earlier. "Any wisdom, Dad?" Jake asked. "Love her enough to let her fail safely," I said. "Trust her enough to catch herself. Protect her from real harm, not from learning. Emily, exhausted but glowing, added, "And maybe don't let her marry anyone without a background check." We laughed, but we all knew it wasn't really a joke. Time moved as it does in moments and years. Sarah Hope grew into a curious, careful child. She'd study people before approaching, assess situations before engaging. Emily called it natural caution. I recognized it as inherited wisdom. When Sarah Hope was 3, I decided it was time. Led Jake and Emily to the basement one evening while the baby slept. Showed them a panel they'd walked past 1,000 times. "One more secret," I said, opening it. Behind was a room they'd never seen. Sarah's real studio, the one I'd kept pristine. Not just her paintings, but her journals, her letters, her dreams, written in fading ink. "Mom kept journals," Jake breathed. "Every day from when you were born. She wanted you to have them when you were ready." Emily hung back, but Jake pulled her forward. "Your family. Mom would want you here." We spent hours reading Sarah's words. Her hopes for Jake, her fears about leaving too soon, her absolute faith that love would find him, eventually. One entry written during her final month struck us all. Riley worries about protecting Jake from hurt. But hurt teaches us to recognize healing. I pray Jake gets his heart broken once badly by someone shiny and false. So when real love comes quiet and true, he'll know the difference. I won't be there to see it, but I trust it will happen. The universe is kind that way eventually. Emily wiped tears. "She knew! Somehow she knew!" "She painted it." I reminded them, gesturing to the portrait that now hung in their living room. Maybe she saw, maybe she hoped. Either way, she trusted. That night, after they'd gone home with boxes of journals to read, I sat in my empty house. Not lonely, just solitary. My work was essentially done. Jake was safe, loved, building his own family. The fortress I'd built could come down. I started with the security system, removed the biometric scanner, the cameras, the elaborate locks, donated Sarah's paintings to the library for a charity auction, cleaned out the decoy office, laughing again at my elaborate fiction. Then I found it. A small envelope hidden behind the main safe. My name in Sarah's handwriting with a date 5 years in the future. I'd missed it all this time. My dearest Riley. It read, "If you're reading this, it means Jake is settled, and you're finally cleaning out my studio properly. Which means you're ready to hear this, stop guarding our son, and start living your own life. I know you think your job is to protect him forever, but it's not. Your job was to raise him to protect himself. You've done that. Now go find your own second chapter. There's someone out there wondering where you are. Don't make her wait too long. All my love, Sarah. P.S. Check behind the landscape in the hallway. One more surprise." I sat there stunned. Even gone, Sarah was still teaching me. Behind the landscape painting, I found membership forms for a senior center art classes, even a dating site for widowers over 60. All filled out in her hand, just waiting for my signature. "Meddling even from heaven," I muttered, but I was smiling. The next morning I signed up for the art class. Figured I'd spent enough time around Sarah's paintings to try making my own. The teacher was a widow named Grace, 62, with paint under her nails, and sadness she wore like armor. "First time?" she asked. "First time for a lot of things," I admitted. We painted badly together, laughing at our attempts. She'd lost her husband to a heart attack. I told her about Sarah, about Jake, even about Madison. Truth from the start this time. "Your son was lucky," Grace said, "having a father who fought for him. I was luckier, having a wife who taught me how." Months passed. Grace and I became painting partners, then coffee friends, then something more. Jake approved, Emily encouraged, and Sarah Hope announced to her preschool that Grandpa had a girlfriend. Madison served her time quietly. The FBI said she was a model prisoner teaching classes, mentoring young inmates. Either she'd reformed or was playing a longer game than anyone imagined. I preferred to believe people could change while preparing for the possibility they couldn't. One autumn evening, 5 years after Madison's arrest, I sat on my porch with Grace. Jake's family was coming for dinner. The house smelled of Emily's lasagna, and Sarah Hope's excited chatter carried from the kitchen. "No regrets?" Grace asked, knowing my whole story by then. "None. Every trap I set, every lie I told to catch a liar led to this. Jake found Emily because Madison went rogue. I found you because Sarah made me clean the basement. Even the pain had purpose." Sarah Hope ran onto the porch, launching herself at me. "Grandpa Mom says dinner, and Dad says you have to tell the basement story again." "Which version?" I asked, carrying her inside. "The real one, with the bad lady and the secret papers and how Dad was brave." At dinner, I told the story again, edited for 5-year-old ears. How sometimes people pretend to be nice but aren't. How family protects each other. How truth always wins if you're patient enough. "But why did the bad lady pretend?" Sarah Hope asked. Emily answered gently. "Because she thought money was more important than love. She got confused about what really matters." "That's silly," Sarah Hope declared. "Love is obviously more important." "Obviously," Jake agreed, catching my eye. "But sometimes adults forget obvious things." After they left, Grace helped me clean up. Found me staring at Sarah's portrait of Jake's family, now complete and real. "She saw all this?" Grace asked. "She saw possibility. Trusted it would find a way to happen." "Smart woman." "The smartest." That night I wrote in a journal of my own. Someday Sarah Hope might need to know this story. The real one with all its complexity. How her father fell for a con artist and survived. How her grandfather set traps with love. How her grandmother saw the future and trusted it to arrive. But mostly how truth and patience heal what lies and haste destroy. How love recognizes love eventually. How even the best security system can't protect us from life's necessary lessons. The basement door stays open now. No locks, no secrets, no hidden rooms. Just space for a family to grow, for a little girl to play, for the future to unfold as it will. Sarah was right as usual. The real protection was never keeping people out. It was teaching them to see clearly when they're in. I close my journal and head to bed. Tomorrow, Grace and I are taking Sarah Hope to the zoo. Next week, Jake starts teaching her to spot lies in fairy tales. If it sounds too good to be true, he'll tell her, ask questions. She'll learn. We all did eventually. And somewhere in federal prison, a woman counts days and makes plans. But we're ready now. All of us. Truth makes the best security system. Love makes the best trap. And family makes it all worthwhile. Have you ever had to protect someone you love from a truth they weren't ready to see? How did you balance honesty with kindness? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to hear more tales of family trust and the complicated ways we protect each other. Share this with someone who might need a reminder that sometimes the most elaborate deceptions lead to the most profound truths. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, the best inheritance isn't money or property, but the wisdom to recognize real love when it finds you. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your hearts wisely guarded.